Hello, in this video I'm going to show you how to string your ukulele or ukulele. By now you should have the body assembled, the neck assembled, the head put on, the neck bolted onto the body, and your tuning pegs screwed in and wrenched on. You also want to have the nut affixed to the top, and you'll want to have accessible your saddle bridge. This won't be glued on, it will just be set on. You'll want to grab your strings, and you're going to have 4 strings inside any standard ukulele string set. We're using Martin strings for right now, but you'll have a first string, a second string, a third string, and a fourth string. I've placed them this way to show you how you would put these on for a right-handed ukulele setup. For a left-handed, you'd simply just swap rows. I'm right-handed, so I'm going to set this up from me. I'm going to take the 4th string first. Now the 4th string is actually quite a thin string because on sopranos and concert size ukuleles, it tends to be a higher string than you would expect, like on a guitar or even on a tenor ukulele. I'm going to take the string out. With any fretted stringed instrument, it's always smart to stretch the strings. Strings always will continue to stretch for the first week or so, and nylon strings stretch even more. So by pre-stretching it and just tugging gently, we may help a little bit with that. Now we need to get the string through the string hole, through the spacer, and then tied into this end pin area. Now, you may have accidentally put glue in this end pin, and so if that happens, you can test it by taking the end of a string and placing it inside. If it goes all the way through the hole, like mine did, you can see, it means there's no glue. But if there's glue, you'll need to take either a drill or even a safety pin might be something you can use to work through that. Be very gentle, because if you use too large of a drill bit or come at the wrong angle, it may break through. Now our setup is a little bit tricky, and so we found that the best thing you can possibly do here is to first make a loop on one end. We're actually kind of going to go fishing for this string. I'm going to put this end into the spacer. Now, I'm going to set that in there and take the other end and just string it through the first hole here. If I string it through enough, I should be able to pull this side out and have hooked the end. And look, I have. Now we need to tie off this end on the pins. What I'm going to do is actually go ahead and put the string through the pin hole and then take it out. Now I'm going to, instead of just tying it once, I'm actually going to take it around and wrap it around another time, and I usually do 3 or 4 times around just to help it really lock in. And you don't want a whole lot of extra string on the end here. Now the trick is to pull from both angles, and then you should have a nice little tied string. The next step is to put it through the tuning peg. So what we can do with this tuning peg is run it through right here on the nut just to kind of set it, and then I'm actually just going to put it straight through one of these holes on this end. Now the trick about these is that you want to make sure you put them in the right way, and you want to make sure that they wind correctly. So I don't want to pull it too tight. In fact, I'm going to loosen a lot. And now I'm going to start turning it away from me. We're going to do this, and I'm holding the string so that it can start getting its own wrapping around. The more times we can wrap it around the peg, for right now, the better. We don't want a ton, but we also don't want a few. So I'm going to turn this a whole bunch of times. And right now, I can actually start plucking it. I can actually hear it. So now you might be able to see that I have it around a couple times. I'm going to do the next one now. And I'm actually going to do the other end. I'm going to take the first string. Again, we want to stretch it. I'm going to make a loop for it. Take the loop into the back in the open spot and hold it. Now, since this is the first string, I'm going to take the end and put it into the first hole. Put it in a little bit, and let's see, did we catch it? Nope, I didn't this time. I'll try again. And I got it. I'm going to take the side that I just had. I'm going to hold the other side, put it through. Great, I have a basic start now. Now, again, I'm going to take it, wrap it. Now, those of you that play banjo, mandolin, or other classical guitar, you'll notice that I'm probably not doing this with the same kind of keenness of wrapping or tying. But you know what? That's okay for the purposes of this kit. I'm going to wrap it around a couple more times. Wrap it again. And one more time for good measure. And now I'm going to pull it, hold it here, and pull it back out. Whoops. If I tighten, you should see again I have maybe a little bit extra left that I didn't want, but that's okay. It's still on there pretty snugly. Now I'm going to take this again and put it up to my tuning peg. Take it again, just kind of feed it through the hole and tighten it a little bit. Put it through the nut just to kind of set it. And on this side, I'm actually going to turn it toward me. The trick is you always want to have this wound so that the inside where the string's coming in is curlicue this way. So we can do it the opposite way there. I'm going to tighten this until you can notice that it's actually slipping in places and changing pitch, and that's okay for right now. Now I'm going to actually, with two strings in place, to loosen my fourth string a little bit, I'm actually going to put the bridge and saddle in place. I'm going to take this, and you'll notice that there's a thick hole here, a really thin hole there. I'm actually going to make it so that the really thin hole is for my first fret, my first string, excuse me. I'm just going to slide this in place and tighten the strings, again, away from me on this side, and toward me on this side. Until I have it pretty much just sitting there. Great, now it's time to do the last two strings. I'm actually going to take the second string now. Again, we really want to make sure that we pre-stretch this a little bit. Make our loop. Stick our loop into the spacer hole. Hold it. Take the other end and put it through the second string hole. Let's see, did we catch it? We did, great. Take the string, put it through, wrap it around, and wrap it around a couple times. hold on to this end and pull the string tightened. Now I can put it through the little string slot, up through the nut. I'm going to put this on our second string tuning peg. Again, I'm just going to put it straight through the hole. And remember that on this side of the instrument, for right-handers, we're going to turn the tuning key toward us until it wraps around a couple times. Oh, it slipped out of this, so I'm just going to move it down. Again, when you're doing this, you'll hear the pitch rise and fall. And the reason it's rising and falling like that is that the string is setting into place. It's stretching in different parts. That's all a normal part. We don't want to do this too fast as we get higher in pitch. It's probably good for right now. I'm going to tune that other one again a little bit. This side's away. Great. Now it's time for my last string, my third string. This one's the thickest. I'm going to tug to stretch it out. Again, make a loop with one end. Insert the loop into the spacer hole. It's getting a little bit crowded in there now because we've got all these other strings. So I'm going to have to kind of squeeze it so it fit. Put the third string through the third string hole. This one may take a couple times, we'll see. Oh, I got it the first time, that's wonderful. Take the string out, insert it through the string hole. Wrap it around. A couple times. Hold it, and tighten. There we go. And we actually got it so that it kind of tightened a little bit differently, but that's okay as long as it tightened and it looks like it's going to stay. I may actually kind of wrap it around just a couple times for my own benefit. Great. Tighten. Insert it into the slot in the saddle bridge area. Bring it down to the slot in the nut. And insert it into the hole. Hold it a little bit and start turning this one again away from me because it's on this side. The two lower strings, or I guess the third and fourth, are almost always going to be on the turning away, even if you string this left-handed. And the first and second string are going to be toward you, even if you're stringing this left-handed. Now, I've got this kind of starting to sound like a ukulele. I'm actually going to fix the saddle so it's right where the outline is. We may end up moving it, but for right now, this is fine. Now, I'm actually going to stretch them again. I'm going to hold gently and start just kind of tugging at these. They're going to pop out of the saddle and the nut, just gently tugging. Set them into the nut and the saddle. Next one. And again, this is helping us stretch the string out. It's also pulling it from both the tied in and the tuning peg in, and making sure that there's no extra space. Third string, same way. and then 4th string. And you should be able to feel some of it slip a little bit. Now, once you have that, you're ready to tune it up. Once you've tuned it, and I'm not going to do that right now because you can find the information on how to tune, because you'll need a tuner. But once you have that taken care of, you can tune her up to G on the 4th string, C on the 3rd, E on the 2nd, and A on the 1st. Again, G, C, E, A, or G, C, E, A. Once you have it all tuned up, you're going to need something to cut off the rest of the strings. Now, I have wire snips. You could probably use scissors for this, but I'm actually going to take it from the back. I'm just going to trim it up a little bit. I'm not going to take a ton off, because it may slip a little bit, and that's okay. I'm just going to snip her off. Again, I don't want to cut it all the way to the loops because, again, this is going to pull a little bit, and so we want to give it a little extra space. Same thing for these ends. Just going to snip it so there's a little bit left. You can see. And you've strung your ukulele. Once it all is tuned, you can start playing around with it. I hope this has been helpful.